All right, well, welcome everyone. Let me just get our meeting started. We've achieved quorum and I think we've let folks in. So let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to the August 5th, 2021 Town of Concord Historic District Commission meeting. We're calling ourselves to order at 7:05 p.m. and the meeting's being recorded, as you all probably just heard. So we'll review, we have one continued public hearing, which I think is going to be continued again. And 4 new applications and then some additional business this evening. So let me first do a quick roll call of the commission. If you would just say aye as I call on you, just so you are present. Nia?
Aye.
Abigail?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And I think that's everybody, correct, Heather?
Do you have to assign voting members?
I do. Hang on just a sec. We also have Heather Carey and Heather Gill, our esteemed town employees and our managers, is what I would say. So voting members this evening, the full members are beside me, Nia. Actually, you're right, Dennis. We only Nia and I tonight. So how about
The rest of you.
The rest of us. Right.
I actually think all of you do have to vote tonight, but hang on, because we have to recuse a couple different times. So let's just start with this. Nia, Abigail, Dennis, and Kate. You mind, Catherine, stepping aside for the moment? So those will be the first voting members. And then we'll have to switch back and forth. So, all right, well, anyway, we're called in. Let me just finish my little speech here. So as you can see, we're conducting the meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Mass Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law. Pardon me, the public may access the call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To ask questions or comment, please raise your hand in the function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in, I think you use *9 to raise your hand or wave at us, and one way or another we'll hear you. The host, Heather, may mute microphones. Actually, if you would all mute yourselves, please, just in case, to eliminate background noise. I don't think we're going to have video problems tonight. Sometimes we have to turn the video off. So after an application is presented, I will call on each commissioner for comment and then open the meeting for public comment. We'll then bring it back. Once there are no more public comments, I'll ask for a motion to continue, approve the conditions, or deny, a second, and conduct a roll call vote. And once the commission has commented, the petitioner is free to go home. So that's my speech for the evening, and I think unless there are any additions to the agenda, Heather, I think we've got a revised agenda that was posted. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the continued public hearing, 51 Walden Street, I understand has been bumped now ahead to the 29th?
August 19th.
August 19th.
Requested a continuance.
So could I get a motion, please, from the commission?
Make a motion that we continue the application for 51 Walden Street to the August 19th meeting.
Second.
All right, I'm going to just go around and just say your vote. Nia?
Aye.
Abigail?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Kate? Kate is off camera. Catherine? And I'm an aye as well. So I think let's assume Kate was an aye or an abstention. All right, so that was our only continued public hearing. Now, our first new hearing, 398 Main Street, is actually Abigail Flanagan presenting. So Abigail's going to have to recuse herself. And Catherine, would you mind stepping into the voting booth? All right, so our voting members are beside me, Nia, Catherine, Kate, and Dennis. So 398 Main Street, I understand this house is going to have some new lighting. Ms. Flanagan, would you present, please?
Happy to.
Thank you.
So we live at 398 Main Street, which is the house right in the intersection between Main and Elm. And if you've been by the house, we're doing quite a bit of extensive repair work to the exterior, including repainting, replacing clapboards, repairing soffits and fascia and gutters and all sorts of stuff. And in that process, the two light fixtures that you can see on either side of the door, that's technically the front of the house. We don't really use that entrance because it's not where the driveway is, but that's the technical front of the house. There are two old light fixtures there that in terms of scale are simply too small for the house. They're about 6.5 to 7 inches tall. And it's a very, very tall house. So the proposal is to replace those two light fixtures with this linear lantern from Chapman and Myers, which we've improved at other locations in the district. So they're substantially taller in scale. They have the same number of bulbs, the same wattage, but we're actually not intending to use the wattage that's suggested. It's too bright, 260 watts in each. So we'd actually propose using 240 watts in each. We don't actually, my husband thinks this is a fool's errand because we don't actually use these lights and we don't actually use this entrance. It's a little bit like earrings in an outfit. They just don't quite go now. So we're going to replace them. They're dark sky compliant. This isn't really visible from the road in season. It's set back far enough and there's so much greenery. In the off season, in the winter, it certainly is visible. So if they were on, you would see them from both Main Street and Elm Street. But that's it. It's a pretty simple switch. So two light fixtures for two light fixtures, lower wattage, slightly larger fixture, dark sky compliant.
All right, thank you, Abby. I thought those were two junction boxes. They're so small. I thought they
They're
were-
tiny. I don't quite know what the theory was on using those, but
Okay, let's see if anyone has anything to say. Nia?
Abby, I just wanted to ask, I'm assuming the finish is the black that is shown in the picture?
yes, correct.
And what about the glass? It looked like there were options.
There is no option on this size. So there's a seated option on a different size. There's no seated option on this.
Okay. Thank you. I have no objection.
All right, Kate.
My question was the same as Nia's about seated glass. So there it is. I have no objection. They'll look great.
All right, Catherine.
I have no objection as well. I'm familiar with the fixture and I think they'll look excellent.
Thank you, ma'am. Dennis.
I think they're fine. No problem.
All right, and I have nothing useful to say. So why don't we open this up to public comment? Is there any public comment on the light fixtures to be installed at 398 Main Street? And I'm just going to look around here. I see no hands raised. All right, well, how about a motion from the commission, please?
I move that we approve the application for 398 Main Street to replace lighting as submitted with the 240-watt bulbs in each fixture.
I need a second on that.
I second that.
All right, all in favor? I'm going to just go around the horn. Kate,
Aye.
Nia,
Aye.
Um,
Catherine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All right, you are approved, Abby. Thank you. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
All right, so I think now we're going to move on to 399 Lowell Road, and I think now, Nia, you need to step aside, correct? You are in a butter? or
Yes,
a
correct.
neighbor? All right, so would you mind, Abby, switching seats with Nia and coming up
Yeah, not a
onto the rostrum here, or the podium, I should say? All right, hi, Julia. I see you here somewhere.
Hi, Peter. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good to see you all.
Welcome,
Hi
welcome.
from Deer Isle, Maine.
All right, and I understand, Julia, this is a certificate of appropriateness to conduct a small addition with windows, add some corner windows, relocate electrical service, and bury electrical lines.
That's
Right.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Would you
So-
mind walking us through it, please?
I'd love to. I think you're with the barn addition did. Is there anyone new on the commission? That was all passed
Mhm.
and we're just about wrapped up with that. So we're starting on phase 2. And Heather, would you mind going to the floor plan for a minute, please? So if you're looking at this plan, the street is up, so east is up, not north. And if you look at the little sitting area next to the kitchen, basically everything new is in red, except for I didn't get the new window, the gang of 3 at the top right there, and the corner windows over in the kitchen are also new. They're in black. But if you see the dotted line, that's where the existing house structure ends right now. There's one single small window, and I'll show you photos in a minute. We'd like to push out about 4.5 feet so that it's not really a noticeable addition, but we think it's going to add it's going to activate the front of the house, and also we'll get rid of some unsightly mechanical a condenser there, which will go on the side of the house, which won't be visible from the street. And then also we'll be burying electrical wires, which are on the corner. I don't know if you can point that out, Heather, but on the front of the house next to that porch. Yeah, right in there. So then going to the first elevation, the next page. One new window will face, okay, no, this is the front elevation. So we'll have one new window over by the porch, starting from left to right. If you can point that out on this bottom elevation. Yeah, right there.
Mhm.
And then this gang of 3 windows there. We did that. I like the idea of kind of this large solid of the main part of the cape, and then the little solid with the small window there, and then sort of a glassy part in between. We feel like it's going to really help us with Eastern light in the kitchen, which has just been very dark, and also extend that sitting room, which really feels like a hallway right now. So that kitchen area will all be open with the sitting area. Sorry about my voice. I'm sort of recovering from a cold. So then getting into the details, we will add back bands that match the original window trim. So the main part of the cape with the 2 windows on either side of the door has a little bit more elaborate trim with a back band. And we'd like to add that to these windows, the gang of 3. The little window that's in the front of the laundry area, that small gable, has plain flat trim, and we'd like to also match it there. And then the window to the left of that little gable is going to be a corner window, and I think the back band will go straight around. Sorry, it won't go straight around. The sill will go around the corner to kind of make that a harmonious whole. The back band will be around the windows, and then turning the corner on the porch, there will be another, if you go down, yeah, thank you. Another window there, which is under this. Heather, can you point out the porch area? Thank you. So there's a window there. Yeah, so that's the corner. And that we felt was the best way. I know I had asked for a skylight at one point facing the road for our kitchen, and that certainly wasn't going to be an appropriate solution. But I think this one will be just really lovely. And it also, I think it's a much improved elevation for that porch. We have a bench that will go in between the two, the door and the window. Trying trying to think if there's anything else. Let's see. Oh, the electrical service. If we could go to the photos, which is in the application. There we go. On that wall where there's going to be a window is an electric service. And we, even before we thought about putting a window here, we've really wanted to bury that service. The wires come in over the driveway and onto that front of the porch, which is our main entrance that we use all the time. And they go down the rake board and and then over to the corner of the house. So we think that would be a really good move anyway, even without the windows. And then apologies for the half constructed or half painted house. The painters aren't quite finished, and the landscape is going to be finished this fall. We'll get everything all set there. We did transplant the bushes that we had talked about in the last go around from the front of the house out to the road. And we will be doing, smaller scale appropriate landscaping that will feel right for the scale of the house. Scrolling down, there's the view of the front of the house. Oh, and you can see the condenser right there, which, yeah, it's not that, that's actually just a screen, but right next to it on the side of that little gable is the condenser, and that will go around to the other side of the house, back behind the porch. So it won't be visible for the road, but we'll still enclose it with a kind of latticed enclosure. It's not heating, it's just air conditioning, so it can be on the ground. And then these windows look kind of funny right now. They're going to be window boxes on the front two windows. Let's see. So the meter, when we move that, would be in the front of the property on a pedestal behind a large tree. We would have a post topped with a 1x10 framed board to accept the meter. The post will be as low as the town will allow, which is 3 feet, and will be weathered gray brown to blend in with the landscaping. And it will face the house behind the boards. So I think that is everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Julia. I think we may need a site visit just to get a better idea of this at some point. And actually, if it's not too much trouble, Julia, it would actually be super helpful to see. I think we only really need to look at the east and south elevations.
Yes.
If there's a way to look at existing and proposed on the same sheet, it's just
Okay.
easier for people
Yeah.
to sort of translate.
Yeah.
You know.
Heather, if you scroll down a little bit, the other way, sorry, scroll up. And then not what I would say is, if you look at the top of page 3 with the bottom of page 2, then you'll get the elevations that you need to look at. Now but you can't see both of them together, so it's okay.
Right. No, I'm just saying the existing.
Yeah, for the presentation. Yeah.
Well, if we come out for a site visit, for instance, it would just be good
Sure.
to have that.
Sure.
So we can.
Mhm. Yeah, happy to
Okay.
provide that.
All right, thank you. Let me go around and see what if folks have any comments. I'll just go around in order on my screen. Kate, you're first.
I don't have any comments. I'm just trying to, keep track of, what is where, but I think it's kind of intricately and finely spaced out, and I have no real questions.
Okay, Kate, what do you think? A site visit?
Oh, site visit, yes.
Okay, I never really know. All right, thank you. Nia, we're going to skip over to you, Abby.
I don't think I have any questions. I think a site visit would be helpful. And if you could mark where the electrical service is moving. Because I totally understand the impetus for moving it. I just want to have a sense of where it is on the streetscape that it's moving
Yeah,
to.
happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Catherine.
I agree that a site visit would be very helpful to us. And in terms of looking at the proposed plans and elevations right now, I don't have any objections. Looks like it's going to be nicely balanced and proportioned. So, that's all for now.
All right, thank you, Catherine and Dennis. Oh, you're muted, Dennis. There you go.
I agree with what's been said so far. I don't have any problems. I'm curious, all our electrical is buried here, but we have no meter. Is that different? Do you need a meter?
You're getting free electricity, Dennis?
I guess so. No, if you saw my bill, no, it's not free. But I don't know where we don't have a meter. Anyway.
That is a little weird.
Maybe it's there and I just never
Man,
saw
you're
it.
on,
Maybe
you've
it's
gone on the
buried.
public record now saying you don't have an electrical meter. So now-
Yeah, well, they're getting their bucks anyway. I think after a site visit, may have more to say, but right now I don't see any significant problems.
All right, and I don't have any significant questions, Julie. I think it's nicely presented. Just my comment about seeing existing and proposed juxtaposed on the sheets.
Okay. Happy to do that.
Is the 19th our next meeting? August is a weird month. Are we meeting
Yes,
on the?
that's our next meeting.
So Julia, would that be possible to do a site visit that morning? August
Absolutely.
19th, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Can you
And-
tell me when, once you have the site visit, when the earliest approval would be?
It could be that evening.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
really, the site visit is to just see what you've presented, and then we meet, you're the first on the agenda that evening. And if
Okay.
nothing has come up and no one has any objections, that would be how it would play.
Okay,
that make
that's great.
sense?
Yes,
Okay. And would 8 a.m. be okay? For
that's
the
great. Yep.
19th? Okay, so why don't we just say we're going to do that? And did I hear from all commissioners? I think I did. All right, well, that's good. And so we're going to meet on the 19th at 8 in the morning. Let me see if there are any public comment on work to be done at 399 Lowell Road by Ms. Minor. Any public comment? Looking around. Any hands? No. Okay, then I would look for a motion from the commission, please.
I make a motion that we continue the application for 399 Lowell Road to the August 19th meeting with a site visit to be scheduled that same day at 8 a.m.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go around and take your votes. Kate,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So thank you, Julia, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you all. See you
right.
soon.
Thanks again.
Yep.
All right, 399 Lowell, we're going to meet at 8 a.m. on the 19th. All right. Thank you all. So moving right along. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. Okay, so first off, I think, Nia, I can bring you back on as a voting member. And Dennis, would you mind stepping down?
Nope.
To non-voting? All right, so voting members will be Kate, Nia, Abby, Catherine, and me. All right, so next on our agenda, 45 Walden Street. This is a certificate of appropriateness to install some signage, and our favorite sign person in the world is here, Billy Crosby. So, Billy, will you take us through the proposal, please? But you're muted. We can't hear you. There you go.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. So it's just it's a 1 inch or 1.5, I believe, just a square blank with just a pencil edge around the edge. It's a flat wall sign, and it's the second sign in, from the Strop and Blade with Barrett and the, 5 or 6 others that are in there. And it's basically, that is her Meredith Rode's logo. And it's just her 2 colors. She's got a gentle cream and a Benjamin Moore soot dark gray or almost black lettering, the carved letters with a painted pinstripe and mounted flush to the clapboard.
Is there really a paint color called Gentle Cream?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow, that's so sweet. It's, it's like emotionally intelligent colors. All right, thank you, Billy. Let's see if folks have any comments. Kate?
No comment. I'm fine with gentle cream. You might want aggressive cream, Peter. but I think-
No, I see. I want Gentle Cream. I believe the world needs more Gentle Cream.
With
No.
aggressive gray, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Nia, any thoughts? But
I think the sign is totally appropriate. Billy, I just wanted to ask, the size, both length and width, how does that compare with the other signs that are, lined up in a row there? It's kind of hard for me to get the sense from this photograph.
It's smaller than the strop and blade and slightly, I think it's the same height as most of the others, but Barrett for some reason is a little bit of a small one. And then there's the blue sign all the way down on the left. So there's no real consistency in there. So we just gave it some breathing room. The strop and blade is kind of encroaching on the top and the bottom. So, we've got space between the top and the bottom. And then we just ran her logo out the way she has it, on a website or the file that she gave us, and then just created the same edges as we did the top after we decided where the top looked appropriate, where you can see the back of, the back of the building, where strop and blade kind of goes up too high. And then I actually think Barrett's sign is a little too small, but it might have moved from somewhere else and they just moved it over there when they went across the street. So I think the balance is pretty good. It looks a little wide in this perspective thing, but it's the straight on version kind of shows that it's not very wide. A couple of them are wide. Strop and blade is probably another foot on either side, size wise.
Okay, thank you. It looks great.
Thanks.
No objection.
okay, thank you, Nia. Abby, any thoughts?
And Billy, it's smaller than the existing sign that was there for the dry cleaner, correct?
I have the existing sign here and it's a lot longer.
Yeah.
That was a vinyl sign and they dropped it off here to put it in the sign museum and it didn't really make the cut. So
You have exacting standards, Billy. We appreciate it. No, I have no objection to the sign.
okay, thanks.
Thank you, Abby. Catherine
No objections at all. It looks great.
and Dennis, even though you can't vote, any thoughts?
It looks fine. No, I have no problem.
All right, thank you. Let's see, I've heard from everyone. So is there any public comment on the proposed signage at 45 Walden Street? I don't see any hands. All right, I would look for a motion from the commission, please.
I make a motion that we approve the application for 45 Walden Street as submitted.
Second,
All right, I'll take your votes in the order on my screen. Kate,
Aye.
Mia,
aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. You're approved, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, take care.
You're
We'll see you
welcome.
soon, one way or another. All right, let's see, moving right along. Our last new public hearing tonight is 421 Main Street. And this is in the Main Street District, pardon me. An application to a certificate to install venting, expand a rear porch and replace windows. And I see Scott Leisure. Did I pronounce that correctly?
So it's actually Addie Harris.
hello, Addie.
I'm the owner trustee. Scott Leisure's my contractor, but
Okay.
he's not available tonight. So
All right, well, welcome. And would you mind
Thank
just
you.
walking us through the application, please?
yeah, so we purchased the home or our part of the home. It's a 2-unit condo last fall. The condo and especially our half was in pretty grave disrepair. So this is part of a much larger construction project. Sorry, I have a 2-year-old in the background here. And think her crackers ran out. Anyway.
If
so
you need to
part
take
of-
a break, that's okay. We totally get it.
she was flushed with crackers a few minutes ago.
We get this from our own commissioners sometimes. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, she's run out. She's got her, oh, I see, her cartoon is off.
All right.
Okay, she is good to go now. So anyway, we purchased the home late last fall, knew it was going to need significant renovation. Our intention, we've owned several historical homes, not in Concord, but we own a townhouse in Bay Village, and then had a Victorian that we restored when we lived in California. Our intention was to restore as many of the windows as we could, which is what we've been doing. We've kind of been restoring them one by one. There are a few that we're requesting to replace, either because they were in such a state of disrepair or because of the overall safety of the window. So I'll start with the one that we felt like was a safety issue, which is the third floor. We have, 3 younger children, the 2-year-old that I mentioned. And that third floor window, we felt like it really needed a safety lock and to have tempered glass on it. The attic also, like the insulation is not super great. We're finishing that off into a playroom. So that was really the one out of all of the windows that we were really looking at from a safety concern with the children. I think I submitted the specs for the windows, but we're going with a window that we were told has been used around Concord and has been used in other homes in the historical districts as historically appropriate. I think this is the third floor side window here. So I guess I'll start with that kind of, any questions on that one. And then I'll walk you through the other windows.
Oh, I think that's okay. You can go through the
Okay,
whole thing.
go through all of it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Then
come back.
on the bottom, you can't quite see it in this picture because it's actually behind the shrubs. There are several casement windows. There's 3 of them in total that go into the basement. They were really kind of rotted completely beyond any sort of repair, and several of them were actually broken. So we thought it would probably be best to replace those with new casement windows, of course, trying to match the period of the house. And then the other windows are around kind of the rear side of the house. And apologies for the pictures. This is how it looks right now. The 2 you can see on the first floor, the one kind of towards the left that's circled actually just has a piece of plywood over it. That window was probably from around the 1980s, was actually not really historically appropriate for the house, didn't match any of the other windows, and was literally like the pieces of wood falling out of the window. And then the kitchen window is actually an aluminum slider, probably we were guessing kind of 90s era. So we're replacing that one. That one we actually would like to put in a larger window to get a little bit more light into the kitchen. And then on the second floor, you can see there's a small bathroom window that was actually an aluminum window. So, rather than, we didn't really feel like restoring it was appropriate because it was kind of like rusted aluminum and not in great shape. So to replace that with a new window that, would match as best as it could the historical windows in the house. So that's all of the windows. I think if you scroll to the next page, we'll see if there's any other pictures. So you can see the living room window. You can see where these casement windows are. Obviously the shrubbing and everything is going to be improved when we get to that step there. Sorry, she just took all the crackers.
Kids.
We're going.
Sounds like my kids.
I'm on my own tonight. We had a big plumbing issue at our house in Boston, so we're at a friend's house.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so then walking through the next things, the porch, you could see actually, if you scroll up, you can actually see where the old porch was. If you scroll up to the photo, go back to the photos. Go down. So that's the front of the house. Here's the rear of the house. So kind of as you go from the left, where you see the pile of wood on the ground, And then you see the piece of plywood and kind of where there used to be a porch roof. So that whole area was approximately a 3x3, maybe 4x3 small porch. Taking that off, initially we were just going to replace it as is. And then we started thinking, what would be kind of nice to have, a larger porch. So what we can really do either, but what we would like to do is expand that porch out. So we have a little bit more porch space in the back for the family and the kids to spend some time on. Different seasons of the year, probably not winter, but fall and spring when maybe the ground's a little bit soggier. Next thing is the fences. So the fence when we bought the house actually was a vinyl fence, not in great shape. The vinyl was cracking. I put its approximate location here. It was like probably about 5 feet into this wall here. What we would like to do is actually move it forward. And the reason for that is we replaced basically replaced all of the systems inside the house because they weren't functioning. And we now have vent pipes that have to come out of that section of the house. They really couldn't get the HVAC. I had wanted to put it in the back of the house, but there wasn't enough space to get all of the venting and the HVAC systems to run through the house because it's so long and skinny. So that's really the intention of moving the fence forward is to cover up those vent pipes that are coming out. In talking with Scott, he thought there was potentially some concern about some of the vent pipes from the bathrooms in the upstairs. So none of the bathrooms had any venting in them. I guess they had the windows for the venting, but in putting
Old-fashioned venting.
Yes, exactly. And putting in modern venting, obviously we have to have it vent out of the house somewhere. So I guess those are, and I didn't have an elevation of those, but I talked to him on the phone earlier and I don't think they're in a picture, but they're along this wall here that you can see on the side of the driveway. One is about 10 feet up and the other is about 20 feet up. So above the first story and the second story windows. And he said, I think a 3x3 square vent where those, I think they're Panasonic Whisper Quiet vents would vent out of the bathrooms. I think I covered, oh wait, there is one other thing. The driveway right now is asphalt. We would like to, when we get there again, replace that with something that's more appropriate. Our thought right now is we'd want to do something like pea gravel and do Belgian block or cut stone edging. But we certainly would be open to other things like brick or even just Belgian blocks in general, but we're a little worried about snow removal if we have an uneven surface. So I think that's everything I have for now. What we're mostly looking to get is kind of feedback from the commission on, what is okay, where we need to think about things more and like what you are and are not okay with. With the exception of some of the windows, like some of the windows we just don't have anymore because they were in such terrible shape. The other stuff is really kind of open for discussion and review. Obviously, things like the porch, we'd really like that for our, for the family to be able to use and really enjoy, but things like placement of the fence, I guess the vent, like where the vents come out, were maybe a little stuck with, they could be relocated a little bit up or down or side to side, but really the fence and the surfaces. And when we get to the landscaping, we're open to doing what would be really most appropriate for the house.
Okay, thank you. Let me just ask a question. Actually, this is for the commissioner, Heather. Heather, can you go to the site plan, the one with the markings on it? That one. So we're really only looking at from the public way from Main Street, correct? I know the railroad is behind. So in other words, is everything in the back of the house essentially out of our?
It will be
basket?
right now. It's in view because we took down the 6-foot tall vinyl fence when we got into the heavy construction so that they could get a big dumpster in there because
Gotcha.
the basement actually came with a bunch of gifts from many of the previous owners that we had to get out. So when that fence came down, a lot of the backyard became visible. When that fence goes up, whatever, location it is, whether it's the original location or we move it forward to hide those vents,
I see.
I really
Okay.
think the porch, the expanded porch won't be visible anymore.
Will it be covered? I can't remember.
Not covered, it'll be open.
Yeah, then it won't be.
Yeah.
visible. Okay. Well, thank you for such a complete presentation. I don't really have any, so I think we may want to do a site visit just because I'm having a little bit of trouble.
It's hard to
putting this-
picture it all unless you're,
And we may need a little
Over
bit
there.
more additional information, but let me go around and see what folks think, if that's all right. Thank you for presenting and managing your child at the same time. I think you get extra points for that. Kate, do you have any thoughts?
Nothing, wildly triggered anything. I mean, obviously windows are always a more, especially, on the other sides of the house, not so much this third floor replacement window, but those always require, some careful review and consideration. But I don't think, let me see if I can click to any of these other things. I mean, I'd want to, definitely go on a site visit. And I think a lot of the things that were proposed were sensible and beneficial to to the house and its place in the district, but no fire alarms right now.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Nia, any thoughts?
I don't have any major objections. I suspect that all the windows on the back of the house are not within our purview because I don't think they'll be visible. I would like to know the specifics on the fence and, the height, what style it's going to be, what color it's going to be, and also the materials for the deck, which, you're right, if the fence goes up, it in all likelihood will not be visible, but we probably should at least know what it's going to be. I don't have a problem, I don't think, with the windows. I'd like to see the site visit. And that'll give us a better sense of how visible these vents are going to be. And regarding the driveway, I know you came up with several options. And pea gravel can be pretty tough with snow plowing, but I'm all in favor of something other than straight asphalt.
and I
All right,
guess
thank you, Nia. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
a question for the commission, like your question, Nia, on materials of the fence and the deck. And I would say we haven't selected them yet. So if there are, preferred materials, I mean, on the fence, I was thinking of going white since we have other white fencing on the house. Was not going to go vinyl. But yeah, if there are preferred, materials and finishes, that would be some guidance we're looking for from the commission.
Okay. I think we'll probably have a much better idea once we've seen the house up close.
Okay.
Thank you, Nia. Abby, any thoughts?
Yeah, do we have any pictures of what the vinyl fence looked like in its original location? Because in the pictures I see a low picket fence with an arbor. I see some shrubbery at the end of the driveway, and I see the fence that I assume runs along the train tracks at the back. But I
Yes.
don't-
The
Go ahead.
fence, the fence at the back is still in place.
Yeah,
And I was going off when I was writing up and kind of talking, I was going off of the site plan, which said a 6-foot fence there.
Yeah.
But the fence obviously doesn't look 6 feet here. I guess the arbor is 6 feet. And this is actually, none of this actually was here. Well, some of the bushes were here, but the arch and the tall plants were not there when we bought the house. I don't know if the fence was behind them at that point, or
yeah,
if they put it in.
okay. Yeah, because
Also, you'll see
I
the
live
pic-
near the house and I have no recollection of a 6-foot fence other than the one at back at the train tracks.
right,
So I was just curious because I Yeah, I mean,
And
that's,
we're okay with the shorter fence as well. Yeah, this looks more like it, but the arbor was different.
yeah,
The arbor was actually in okay condition. It's just, it was plastic. So
yeah. So you want to know, and that
yeah,
makes,
we're inclined to keep it.
yeah, I think having a fence there and moving it forward is not going to be an issue. I would have said that a solid 6-foot fence that
Yeah.
close would, usually 6-foot fences are something that we want farther back from the road, more for privacy reasons, things like what you have with the train tracks, something that's moving closer to the streetscape, usually
Yeah.
lower and more open. So when we do a site visit, I think it'll be helpful to look, because what's there in this photograph would be totally appropriate moved forward, but a
Right.
tall solid fence moved forward, I think might be.
Right, wouldn't. And we're really open to
Okay.
either.
Yeah, no, I think a site visit, just because there's so many moving pieces to it, I think a site visit will be helpful. The fence is the only thing that I have kind of significant questions about, but I look forward to seeing the rest of it.
All right, thank you, Abby. Catherine, any thoughts?
Yes, I'm looking forward to the site visit because I think I too feel like that will be very helpful to kind of orient me better to the property and the changes. But yeah, no fundamental objections right now at all. I mean, I think, of course, things like replacing the 90s era windows will be excellent. So that's all I have to add.
All right, thanks, Catherine. And Dennis.
Yeah, I think the site visit, I need to be oriented to all these pieces. A quick question, your half goes from this stoop right down the middle to the right, is that true?
So so if you see the kind of the long porch in the front,
Right.
and yep, right where you have your mouse right there, that's the dividing line. So we each
Okay.
have a long skinny section going back.
And I'm assuming that whatever you do is going to match the other half, so it'll all look the same.
Correct. And they actually have a larger porch in the back. Their half of the house is slightly different from ours. You can, yeah, let's see if you can go over there.
Right, I see it. Yeah.
Yep. So they have this little nice little bump out and then the larger porch on theirs, and then the taller fence.
Do you know the date of the house?
I believe it's 1880.
Okay, I was going to say 70s or 80s. Okay, it's been played with a bit, so I have no more questions until we have a site visit. You said, although one thought, you're going to vent up here, I guess, up in the peak. You want to vent up in there?
Yes.
With bathrooms?
Yes. And I'm not sure of the exact location, because I was thinking when the questions came from HTC about venting, it was the venting that's down in the shrubs coming from the mechanicals that are in the basement. But my contactor, Scott Legere, said, he was like, no, I thought it was like the venting that it's going to be both 10 feet and 20 feet up coming from the bathrooms. So.
And where, and you said it was going to be up here near the peak someplace is where you pointed it out?
Yeah, and you know what, I'm actually not exactly sure because I was so focused on the venting at the bottom. I haven't paid attention to where the venting at the top, where it's potentially coming out. The bathrooms are all towards the back of the house. So my guess is one is up towards the peak above that, maybe above or right below that third floor window. And the other vent would have to be in the back of the house because the other bathroom is in the back of the house above the kitchen.
So
I guess I was
go
going to say that if you have louvered shutters, you may want to consider putting it behind the shutter.
Okay, that's a very good idea.
So it's behind the shutter so you don't see it.
Yep, I'm going to take a note on that.
I think that's right, Addie. If let me just ask, actually, a little out of order. Are you available on this? What's the day now we're looking at? The 19th.
19th.
In the morning for a site visit? What do you
Let me
think?
check the day.
That's a Thursday.
Yeah, I'm available on Thursday.
All right, so we would probably like to meet at 8:30. We have an 8 o'clock already. Would that work?
Yes, that
8:30
works.
Okay, great. So let's plan for that site visit. I think what I was going to follow up on Dennis's comment is if you could get some idea where those vents will come out.
Yeah.
Just roughly on the facade, and then obviously we want to talk about what the thing looked like on the facade, just to have a conversation about it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, I have no further comments. So I heard from all the commissioners. Let me see if there's any public comment on the work to be done at 421 Main Street. I see a whole lot of silence. So how about a motion from the commission, please?
I make a motion that we continue the application for 421 Main Street to the August 19th meeting for a site visit to be held that morning at 8:30.
Second,
All right, and let me see what your votes are. Kate,
Aye.
Mia,
aye.
Abigail,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. All right, so Addie, thank you for the presentation. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And if you have any other information in the meantime, please just submit it to Heather, and then we'll all have it by then.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so
All right.
much.
All right, good job managing the kid at the same time. That was pretty amazing. All right,
There are
thank you.
crackers everywhere, so I'm not sure how well I did on that one. but-
Now your house looks like your car. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you, folks. So that was our last public hearing. I believe, Heather, no other new public hearing. So we're on to other business. Now, the agenda that was just posted, I think 98 Monument Street is struck off the list, correct?
Correct.
They're just not what happened there.
They've just decided to wait out the lead time on the original windows that they were approved for.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. The next one, 167 Monument Street. Now, I have a question about this. There's an application in for this, correct?
Correct, and it's on the agenda for your next meeting on August 19th.
So I'm not exactly sure why we can't really have a public conversation about it here, right? Because it wasn't, the public wasn't notified. The abutters weren't notified, correct?
Correct.
So do the applicants have a question about the process? I don't think we can really even look at the design here tonight, or it doesn't really make any sense to. Is there a question from the applicants, Heather?
Well, I don't, so I'm the architect, I'm representing Mary
Hi,
Ellen.
Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Nancy.
So I was under I believe this was going to be a preliminary. We're going to show you, get our feedback. I didn't, Mary Ellen went ahead and filed. She's nodding, I can see her. So the
So
purpose
that's
of
why
this
it's
meeting was to give you, sort of show you and say, hey, how does, you have any
Sure.
comments? I mean, if you have some major comments, I believe Mary Ellen would pull the application maybe. I don't know, Mary Ellen, do you want to?
So just so you know, Nancy, so the process is typically that, like we have another one coming up where there's a preliminary hearing just for feedback, no public comment or discussion. And
Yeah.
then the applicant will usually put in an application once they get the feedback. The
Yeah.
problem is once the application is in and the public is notified, now we can't violate open meeting law by having a discussion. Do you see what I mean? So we're a little bit caught there.
Yep. I did not realize Mary Ellen was going to put in the application, but so Mary Ellen, what do you want to do?
No, that's fine. I thought we would have the preliminary hearing tonight to get some feedback. And then because of the deadlines, I did apply for August 19th because when I looked at the zoning board deadlines, I realized how tight the schedule was. And so that's why I applied for August 19th in order to make it work for both boards.
I think we can very quickly, show the plans. But I don't want everyone to get into detailed conversations because the legal ad for that public hearing is for August 19th. And that's when all of the abutters will be notified to be able to participate and hear that discussion. So I can screen share if we wanted to do a brief showing of.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Let's do that. Let's take a look at it. And
Okay.
I think folks, so I'm looking at the commission here. There's really you can't really comment on it. But now you've seen it, and so you'll be ready to look at it on the 19th. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we can't get any comments? Is that what you're saying? I just.
That's right. Yeah,
What-
because
You can
again,
provide like basic
Mhm.
feedback, but we can't go into details
Okay,
because
okay.
the public needs to be notified for that discussion when there's already an
Yeah.
application in. It's kind of towing the line of, we have discussions about the plans that we already have submitted
Yep,
for an
yep.
application, then the
Mhm.
public's going to miss out on some of that conversation that's happening about the project.
Okay.
yeah, and if you're on
Can-
any public commission in this town, you know how deadly serious we take open meeting laws.
Okay.
I mean,
Well-
really, it's not even funny. It's,
So
I wish
you-
it were funny.
You can maybe say what drawings were missing or.
Sure, what we'd like to
Okay.
see more of or something. I
Okay,
think-
yeah, great. That'd be good. Okay.
Right, I think we
All
just
right,
can't
so-
give you much qualitative feedback. Okay,
Okay, so I'm not gonna go do my whole dog and pony show though, I guess. I guess I will just kind of describe what's here.
Okay.
So what the Walters are proposing is to add an accessory dwelling unit. And they're gonna be going for a special permit for the under 1,000 square feet size. You can do one by right that's 750 now, but they're going to go for the 1,000. They want their son and daughter-in-law are going to move into the unit, and then in the future the owners are going to move into it so they can age in place. So it's being designed so it can all be lived on one floor.
gotcha.
So we are proposing sort of a barn motif to sort of differentiate the new from the existing. It'll be set, very far back, so you can definitely tell, what is the old and what is the new. There'll be board and batten siding to sort of pick up on the look that's already on the existing garage. They're also proposing to replace their existing garage doors to kind of play on this barn motif. We're going to be using this, similar wood Marvin windows with the simulated divided lights with a similar grid scale. So it looks like it belongs to the house. Let's see what else. So it is. So the amount of square feet that they're adding is allowed for the maximum floor area ratio. So that's all set. They're on sewer. They will have adequate parking because there's already, there's 2 indoor parking spaces and there's also 4 existing surface spaces. So they'll have plenty of that, plenty of parking. So I guess what we're looking for from you is the basic reaction to the barn motif. If you want any more information, in the back, there's going to be a fenced patio area. The fence is 4 feet high. So we're going to be painting that fence green. It'll be a latticed fence. The barn doors at the front and the new garage doors are going to be painted the green color that's similar to the green color that's on that bullet house that's 242 Monument Street. So I can just, so this is a view from the public way. So you can see some steps leading up. We have the barn doors on each side to sort of make it look like a barn. And then on the back, where it's not the public way, there'll be more windows. And there's a walk down the side. The walk's going to connect with the existing walk. It will be a brick walk. And there's the fence, and this is the view from the front where you can see the existing garage on one side and then the new barn set way, way back on the left. So that's kind of an overview. We didn't think too much about the lighting, so that was one thing we might want a little advice on, I guess. And the unit, it's just going to be one level. There is going to be a basement, but the basement is only going to be accessed from the existing main house and from the outside. It's not going to be accessed directly from the new unit. And there's going to be a cathedral space inside the unit. There's not going to be any additional space above. It's just you go in and it's one kind of high space. Guess that's it. So if you guys have any comments, things you'd like to know, like the next time we meet, anything you're looking for more information about,
All right, thank you, Nancy.
Please chime in.
Okay, let me just go around the horn. Kate, any thoughts?
No, I am comfortable with the, usually massing is one of my hangups, and I am comfortable with what's being proposed right now in terms of massing, and the balance looks good, although that's not necessarily our purview, but no,
Okay.
again, no fire alarms.
Thank you, Kate. Nia?
I think it's good that the proposed addition is set back from the main structure. I too, like Kate, am always very concerned about massing. Obviously, a site visit is going to be very important because it looks from the site plan like this is going lot line to lot line across the front. There is, I'm wondering, is the rear of the addition visible from the Reformatory trail? That would be something that I would be concerned about, because that would be considered the public way. So we would be paying much more attention to the back of
Okay.
the structure if that were the case.
Okay. I was not concentrating on that. I will look at that a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nia. Abby?
Yeah, so similar to Nia, given that we just reviewed the application next door, I strongly believe that the back of the house is visible from the Reformatory trail, which puts it entirely in play. So all of the design, all of the materials, all of the windows, all of that would be under our purview. So that would probably change just in how you're presenting it and all of that. I would just say that, you asked about lighting and things like that. The more information you can supply us, the quicker your application will go. So cut sheets for any proposed lights, cut sheets on all the windows, proposed materials for the stairs, the foundation, all of that. It'll save you time if you have, even if you're not sure it's your final choice, if you have a selection that we can discuss. It's more difficult for us if it's just open-ended and we kind of say this type of light or that type of light. It's really most helpful if you have your selections or preliminary selections done. That will just expedite the process for you. But I strongly believe the back of the house will be completely or at least partially in play given the trail.
Yes, this is owned by the town right here.
Thank you, Abby.
Can,
And Heather?
can you guys look at the back and see if you have any, because we have graphics of the back. There's that back in it like that. So is there anything you feel strongly negatively about that? Since that is going from, it seems like you're going to see that.
I think that probably delves too close to
I
a
think so.
discussion of the application.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm the lawyer open meeting.
Okay.
Person.
Okay.
I would say that probably tips the scales over into discussion, but I would just highlight to you that we will have a full discussion about that. So just be prepared with material selections, height of fencing, balustrade, windows.
Okay. All right, great.
Thank you, Abby. Catherine?
Yeah, I don't think I have a great deal more to add than what my fellow commissioners have already expressed. I mean, I do think that, again, in this preliminary look at the plans, it looks like, there certainly has been sensitivity and nice attention to the details and, incorporating existing features that are already there in the property. But I do look forward to getting a little more, information and delving in deeper once the application is being reviewed next time.
Thank you, Catherine. Dennis?
I have to be right up front and say that I don't like the addition at all. This is a very handsome house, the main house, and I know it has a 20th century garage, but I think there's just too much going on, the garage doors, the whole bit. And I think you really ought to look at, there are a lot of 19th century additions to a house that would be, let's say, from the 1750s or so. I think of the back of the old manse, which is kind of funky and strange, but it's the way they added things on in the 19th century. I'm not taken with the barn motif. I would rather see it simpler, plainer, and look more like the 19th century. And this is an opposite massing question for me, because most 19th century additions are taller. So to have it one story is a bit odd. But if you look at the back of the manse, you'll get some idea of how these, I mean, that's kind of quirky, but it's the first one that I came to. But I think that I just don't, I think it ought to be plainer. I think it's just too fussy.
Thank you, Dennis. And the only thing I would add is, Nancy, what struck me is you're talking about single level living, and I realize that everything's connected at the first floor, but this is not accessible from the ground. I mean, accessible for, let's say, ADA wise, right? You've got three or four steps up. So on the other hand, as opposed to what Dennis just said, my sense is the whole thing could sink to be ground level accessible, but that's a bigger discussion. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got a pretty good sense of what your application is all about. So we'll look at this in 2 weeks, and then I'm going to assume here we're going to want to do a site visit 2 weeks after that, and that will be the process going forward. So does that make sense? Okay.
So meet and then so not do a site visit before the meeting.
That's right. We can't. We have to review the application formally and have you walk through all the details and have a public discussion about it.
Okay.
And then we do a site visit. And then that very next evening is when we could reach a conclusion about it, if it all works that way. But
Okay. So once you have the site visit, you don't have to have another meeting necessarily after that?
No, we do. The site visit is the morning of the next meeting. So we're a 2-week cycle. We're first and
Okay.
third. And then we basically meet every 2 weeks until we resolve an application.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But usually there's only one site visit because there really is only one time we need to go look around. Does that make sense? Okay. Did I miss anything looking at my fellow commissioners, or am I singing from the correct part of the hymnal here? All right. Well, Nancy, thank you for the presentation, and we'll look forward to reviewing the application in a couple weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, folks. The next piece of our agenda is 615 Lowell Road, parcel number 1667-3. Now, this is a preliminary discussion, is it not, Heather? So this is not an application yet. This is a pre-application review, if I'm saying that the right way. So, and I don't know who the applicants are.
I'm here. It's Elise Stone.
Hi, Elise. Sorry, I didn't see you there.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
off on my other screen.
Yes. Hi. How are you doing?
And do you want to walk us through your thoughts?
Yes. This is it's a buildable, it's a lot that has been, I think, in play for about 4 years. And it was, this is just a very rough site plan. I do have there was another site plan. Yeah, there it is. So it was part of the house you see next door above it. And so this lot was created. Mike Bushnell bought this lot and he's going to develop it. And so it is a new house, and which is obviously a very large project in the historic district. So I'm just coming just to kind of discuss the lot and kind of where we're thinking of going with it, the size of house we're thinking, before we actually went further and did the application. So the lot, as you can see, is very long and narrow, and you see the dotted lines are the setback lines. So the first dotted line is the 40-foot setback line on the front on Lowell Road. And then you see the two 15-foot, the two other side ones are the side setbacks. Now, the second dotted line, I just want this because this is kind of important in terms of the house placement. So you see the second dotted line that sits behind the 40-foot line, and it's set at about 75 feet. So that line, when you have a lot that telescopes like this, the house cannot be placed behind what is 80% of the frontage. So 80% of the required 150 frontage is 120. And so that's the 120-foot mark going, up and down on the page. So anyway, so those were kind of the restrictions. Obviously, the way it's working is that's not exactly going to be where the septic is. This was the previous person who owned this lot did this original site plan, but it's going to be in a similar location. So maybe we can go to the next site plan. So when we looked at this, just the massing of this. So what we have here is it obviously has to be a front load garage. We didn't want to do anything crazy. It's kind of taking it from a village colonial. I hate to use the word farmhouse. It's so overused now, but just a simpler kind of this type of look, kind of keeping it straightforward, simple gables. It's 32 feet high. This house, keeping it low on the right side because that's the closest neighbor and that's the living space. But also on the left side is all the light. So the south comes in from the light, but maybe just go back to that site plan again. It makes for a very nice, exposure for us. But, I show that front line because we are a little stuck with, we are going to be blocking the sun in the patio above us. There's no way to help that, unfortunately. So that's just, we can't push the house further back because of that line. We don't want to go much forward. We don't want to sit on Lowell Road. So where you see the house is kind of where it has to kind of be. We kept it kind of long and narrow. So we were trying to keep away from some of the setbacks. Next to the bottom, the setback on the bottom, as you look at the house from the front on the left side, there is a long driveway and the house sits way back behind this lot. So there is this road that comes right along there. And then there is a neighbor to the other bit, but it's quite a bit away. So this house, as we see, is it's 38 plus or minus 3,800 square feet. There's a thought if we could put a bonus room of maybe 400 square feet. The allowable FAR on the site is, almost 11,000 square feet. But, I did a quick look at all the different houses, just in all the abutters, and of the 13 abutters, the average square footage of the 13 abutters is 4842. And that's not including garages. So for example, I've shown like a dormer on this side. If we put a little bonus room, I really tried not to have any windows on that side. Those would be high transom windows on the right, just to keep privacy to the right. Again, these are just kind of preliminary sketches, a front elevation of it. And then I did some quick floor plans because you can't, you have to have some reality when you're doing square footages, so it's, the entry, study, dining, family room in the back. Again, trying to keep it kind of private, so high windows on either side of the fireplace on that side, just to be sensitive to that neighbor, because I think that's the neighbor that cares the most. And then 4 bedrooms above, and then the possibility of a bonus room on the right side. It's kind of pretty standard of these houses. So 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms on the second floor, a half bath on the first floor. But anyway, that's kind of, I just wanted to kind of see, this direction, if you had any huge objections, to it. And
Okay, thank
it's
you.
just like a discussion, before we kind of go forward and do
Sure.
the.
No, yeah, we appreciate you coming before the application goes in. Thank you for presenting it. Let me just go around. Kate, what do you think?
Let's see. So Elise, you said 3,800 square feet right now, this drawing.
Yes, 3,800 square feet without the bonus room, if we do a bonus room on the right side.
That's over 4,000 square feet, because they'll probably will want to do that, right?
Well, this is, in all fairness, this is a builder doing it. But, Mike is he doesn't do a ton. He's very sensitive. He really does want to do the right thing. I've done a lot of work with him over the years. So yeah, we tried to stay. So if we did do a bonus room, it would be maybe 4,400, maybe we'd do 500 square feet. So that is still under the average of all the houses around it. We were trying to look at, there's a few that are huge. There's a couple of 6,500. There's
Well,
one actually that's 8,000, but anyway.
No, I don't know if that's necessarily apples and apples, because what's the average age of those houses, and what were the size of their lots when they were built? I mean, what's the size of this lot? I mean, I'm looking at it in terms of proportion.
It's a big lot. It's like I said, the FAR is, let me see the square footage. The FAR, they could build an 11,000 square foot house. It is, lot size is 40,000.
So
170 square feet. So it's just under an acre. If you say 45,000 is an acre. So it's a relatively large lot.
No, I understand the thoughtfulness. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I'm probably going to advocate and argue for keeping this house as small as possible, because the other houses are, yes, they're bigger, but they're older. They were there. This is new to the district. Our warp and weft is to preserve the district, and that includes, to an extent, space and proportion to the, neighbors around them. I mean, I appreciate the thought, and I know you'll do a good job, but I mean, the thought of, being considerate to the neighbors to the north or right side, but a 4,000 plus square foot house is a big house on an acre. I know, because I live in one on 3.5 acres, and it's, especially for an area that's that's kind of already got a lot of structures in it. So I will watch this with interest, but I'll be interested to see what my other commissioners say. But I would encourage them to be conservative.
Thank you, Kate. Nia, what do you think?
Thank you, Kate, for your comments. I think I'm on board with that. I mean, I think we all know this is a very tricky lot. This is 1.5 acre zoning. Somehow this was created originally with, I believe, the Archstone deal that included the 2 meadow lots that are with frontage on Barrett's Mill. And this little piece was deemed to be a buildable lot. Yes, it may be 1 acre, but it is so long and narrow that from the streetscape, which is what our purview is, it looks very crowded. This is probably one of the most important corners in town in terms of its historic significance. I think we just have to be very, very, very careful. And I would also argue for considerably smaller.
Thank you, Nia. Abby, what do you think?
So I agree with Kate and Nia. I think whenever we consider we're always sensitive to massing. This seems to run kind of setback to setback to setback almost. And so from the street view, despite the length of the lot, would appear much larger on the lot. I have significant concerns. I look forward to a formal application, site visits in the process, but I have significant concerns about the size of the dwelling and the size of the lot.
Thank you, Abby. Catherine.
I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think the structure does look like, based on the way it's cited on the lot, will kind of almost look like it's about to, almost spill over. So I would agree that trying to take a much more conservative view to the overall size and proportion would be definitely the way to go. And I too look forward to more exploration and a site visit when the time comes.
Thank you, Catherine. Dennis.
I agree with Lisa's original comment, not another farmer's porch. They seem to be everywhere in Concord, but I think the design wise, it doesn't bother me that much. And it kind of reflects the house on the corner. But I agree with everybody that I really want to see the massing on this. I can't in my mind picture this house on that lot. I don't know why, but I can't. And there are other houses on narrow lots up the street where rather than full frontal, that there's a drive that goes along the edge and the house is turned on its side. So you have much less impact when you're looking at the house. But I don't know enough about the lot to see if that would be possible. But given the thinness of it, I think it would be. So if you could not only make it smaller, but do it in such a way that it's more linear and not so frontal, and particularly with the garage doors, I think it might be more appealing.
All right, thank you, Dennis. And I really don't have anything new to add. So Elise, was this helpful
Yeah,
feedback?
no, it was very helpful. I mean, it's always a struggle when you're doing in essence, a spec house, right? Because you're struggling with the realtors and the sizes, right? With the money, right? Obviously, that's not your purview at all, but it is a struggle, like from my perspective. So this was helpful because, then I can go back and say, this is too big. We have to bring it down, right? It's to be approved. So it is helpful because it's kind of the 3,800 is kind of that size of house now that you see in this kind of, to get the 4 bedrooms, the 3, to get what sells per se. But again, that's not your purview, but you see where I'm coming. It's good to kind of have feedback from you before we all go down the path, because everyone else wants bigger to sell bigger, but it's not going to happen here. So no, that's great. Okay. No, this is very
Thank
helpful.
you, Elise.
Okay.
Now I see Richard Santoro, you've got your hand up, but I technically have to wait till the end of the meeting for public comment. Would that be all right to wait? Okay, we've got one more application to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter.
Sure. All right, Elise, thank you. Hope that was useful, and we'll look forward to the next step.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
All
Bye-bye.
right, and let's see, we have the Go Outdoors art installation. Now, this is another piece of business. I don't know much about this. Heather, this was added this week. And I think someone from, is it the Umbrella, is going to be here?
Yes.
Is that Nicole? Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Hi, Nicole. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Could you tell the commission a little bit about what's going on?
Sure. Go Outdoors happened with the Umbrella in the fall, and there were a number of doors throughout Concord, and then they wanted to redo it this year as Go Outdoors Neighbors. So there are, I believe, 10 or 11 communities around Concord that are also doing doors, and there's going to be a series of them in the park. So there are doors everywhere. And we are hoping to install 2 on land that is yours. One is in front of the visitor center, and it's actually the exact same door that was there in the fall. We're just putting it back again. And then there's an additional door that we'd like to put on Keys Road, kind of across from the DPW. Yes.
All right. I have to
Oh, I
say,
see.
I feel terrible. I don't remember seeing these doors.
Okay. A
I
lot
will
of them,
definitely look closer now. I love
a
this
lot of
idea.
them are on rail trails and things like that. So they're not. We don't have any right now in town. They're all sort of in places you have to walk to or things like that.
And Nicole, tell us just again, these are going to be up for how long?
They are going to be installed whenever we can get them in, and then they'll be up through November.
Through November. Okay.
Yes.
And
Their
they're
installation is a little bit different because the other door, not this one, is an older door. It was using a different installation system. So you can see a little bit at the bottom, there are 2x4s that they sit on. And the other one will just be installed on U channel, which is what you put street signs on. There'll just be a piece attached to each side and then buried into the ground. So there's a little bit less of a profile of this new door than there will be on the older door.
okay. And then when the doors come out, the ground is just patched up and
Yeah. Yep.
okay. So this is
Yeah,
a
they're pretty
temporary yard
small
installation.
Holes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I thank you for even coming to present, and thank you for waiting toward the end of our meeting. We just thought we should look at it because it's in the public eye.
Totally.
Let me just see if any commissioners have any thoughts. Kate, any thoughts? You're muted though. Did you want to commission a door? Is that what I heard?
Sorry. Can you take some of mine? No thoughts or,
Okay.
stress, like it.
Thank you, Nia.
I have no objection as long as there's an end date.
To the world or to the door installation?
No, to the installation, like when it's coming
I'm
out,
just giving you a hard time.
you know.
Okay.
I don't know
thank
that I
you.
have an
No
exact
mission
date, but I
creep.
know it's in November.
It's in November. So
So I
before
can-
the winter.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I
It'd be
can
good. It'd
pick a
probably
date
be good. Yeah,
and
it's
get
good to give us a window.
Thank
Yes.
you.
What? Get it? A window on the
Oh,
door? All right. Sorry.
That's so
Abby.
weak.
Abby?
That's bad.
I have no objection. Like Peter, I unfortunately have no recollection of these either. I'm terrible art.
I'm going to look harder now.
Me either.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, if you could just submit to Heather what the end date is, I think that satisfies all of our
Yep.
needs.
Okay. Thank you. Catherine, any thoughts?
I think they are delightful and I look forward to seeing them around. And yes, with that end date known, I have no objections at all.
Beautiful. All right. And Dennis.
I think they're great. Go for it.
And I would echo the same thing. So thank you for coming in, Nicole, and watching our process, and good luck. getting those
Is
doors up.
there can I just install them tomorrow if they're ready? Like when can I install?
I actually think that's a building department. Isn't that a building department question, Heather? I actually don't know.
I don't
It's
know
not
if you
really
need
our-
building department approval. You might just want to run it by them, but in terms of HDC, I just ask for a motion from the commission to allow it on a temporary basis and maybe just say to be removed by December 1st. I don't know if that would work for you.
Mhm.
That would be fine, yeah.
Nia, would you like to make that motion?
Certainly, I move that we approve the temporary installation for Go Outdoors Art doors with the understanding that they be removed by December 1st and the area where they are located restored.
Second, Abby. All right, and let's just take a quick vote. Kate,
Aye.
Nia,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Aye, and I'm an aye. All right, Nicole, thank you. Good luck, and we'll look forward to seeing them.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Heather, a quick question related to outdoor sculpture. I asked at one point about the pieces that were put up temporarily. Did they ever vote to have those permanent that are sitting around town, like the ones in front of the Concord Market? Did those need to be approved?
Those should be approved. Those kind of appeared when I was out on maternity leave. So we can send an enforcement letter.
Yeah, can we
'Cause
get
I
an
don't know
application?
exactly when they went up.
I wondered about those too. Yeah.
I mean, I like them and I hope they'll stay, but they shouldn't if they haven't been approved.
They need to be
I'll send an enforcement letter and
Okay.
let them know
Well,
they
or
need to submit an
Yeah,
application.
just remind them that it could be retroactive, but they should have.
Because they said they'd be temporary, but they've been there for over a year now.
Depends what you think temporary is,
Yeah.
as we've learned. All right, thank you. And the last piece of business is we have some minutes from the 15th of July to approve. Do we have those, Nia, or no?
I'm drawing a complete blank on this.
I don't know that.
Have we? Did I
don't
send,
think-
did I send in? Did I send in comments on the 15th?
I don't think we have them. They're not
I don't
on.
think we
I
have-
didn't think
okay.
so.
All right,
Okay.
so well, let's just bump that to the next meeting. And the site visit minutes will do the same. Those are really just for record. All right, so I think there's no other business, correct, Heather? And Richard, now this is the time for general public comment. Thank you for waiting. You had a
Great.
general
No,
comment.
thank you so much. We appreciate the time here and allowing us to address the commission here. We're actually, so my wife and I, Erica, we met before. We've been before the HCC, so nice to see you all again. We're the owners of 625 Lowell Road, which is the 19th century Queen Anne style farmhouse that abuts the parcel 615 that Elise presented today, and which the developer seeks to develop. We purchased the house in November 2019. We're already deeply committed to the stewardship of not only our historic house, but also the historic rural character of the Barrett's Farm Historic District. We're one of a broad coalition of members of the neighborhood and greater Concord community who are deeply concerned about the manner of development of this parcel in such a historic area of Concord. And I see a couple of my other fellow neighbors here who are on here. So happy to see the support. So I know the HDC members are acutely aware of the history of this area of Concord. Obviously, it's anchored by the Hildreth House, which is from 1750, flanked with other antique 18th and 19th century farmhouses and open former agricultural land, both on Lowell and Barrett's Mill Roads. This historic corner of town acted as a second town center in the late 18th and 19th centuries, and it witnessed neighboring town militias passing its way through to the North Bridge for, the Battle of Concord and Lexington. Later, this area comprised of a farming community in Concord known as the Plain, and it's an important area of Concord's history and character. I also think it might be helpful for the HDC to be aware of the more recent history of the attempted development of this parcel. I think this was brought up by some of the other commissioners. For decades, our house was part of a 4-acre parcel, including the parcel in question. And in roughly 2013 to 2014-ish, a developer, Archstone Builders, who I think, had business before the commission, purchased our house and subdivided the 4 acres into a lot in Barrett's Mill, which is behind our barn, and our lot, making 2 lots, including that parcel in question. Archstone came before your committee with plans to build a large structure on the Barrett's Mill lot, garnering a wave of neighborhood and community opposition. Your commission denied the plans to build, and in response, Archstone subdivided the lots further into 4 lots, 2 on Barrett's Mill, and then the parcel in question, and then our house. So you'll see from the plot lines that Archstone used that what we call colloquially in the neighborhood, we call geometric gymnastics and how they subdivided the lot. They really kept the minimum frontage and square footage requirements to build and to keep it as a buildable lot. But they created this oddly shaped, incredibly long and narrow lot, half of which tails back where it's so narrow so that it can't be built upon and is virtually unusable. The other buildable half, which you saw on the site plan in the front, is situated so close to a historic structure that it poses challenges to construct so as not to affect the historic nature of the house and the land that surrounds it. Due to the commission's willingness to prohibit development of the large proposed structures on Barrett's Mill, which were inconsistent with the history and nature of the corner and the community's conservation efforts, Archstone decided not to build, sold the 2 Barrett's Mill lots to our neighbors, the Rossies, for conservation purposes, and held the parcel in question unbuilt for over 7 years. Fast forward to today, and Archstone, sensing the turn in the market, put the lot up for sale. The neighborhood banded together in a collective attempt to purchase the lot to protect and conserve it from development, or work with the land trust and others to conserve the land. Archstone instead has started the process of potentially selling the lot in question to another developer, Mr. Bushnell, who came before you today with his architect Elise Stone. So given the last minute nature of the agenda, the addition of the item to the agenda, many of our neighbors were unable to attend, although we do have some present, which is great. We haven't had the time to fully examine the proposed plans provided by Mr. Bushnell to the HCC. So we'll obviously reserve full comment on the proposed plans. And once we see them, when they file a formal application. But one thing that immediately jumps out, and I think what the HDC has recognized tonight and what we want to raise today, is that, Mr. Bushnell appears to is attempting to shoehorn a massive modern structure with an attached garage in this narrow, elongated lot, only half of which is buildable and usable. And, as noted in the preservation goals and the HDC guidelines for the Barrett's Farm Historic District, large lots are typical of the district, and generally antique and contemporary houses should occupy a lesser rather than greater portion of the lot size. The guidelines note it's important to maintain building scale and that it's preserved and maintained. Quite simply, the structure is too large, it's not appropriate in size and style, and would have a negative impact on existing historic structures in the rural and agrarian nature of the Barrett's Farm Historic District. We feel that the size, scale, and massing of the proposed building is not appropriate in relation to the land area, the neighboring structures, and the surrounding streetscape. So again, we just thank the committee for listening to our comments. I know they're preliminary drawings and they're not the final, submitted application. We certainly will be, and others, neighbors, I know will be available to provide further input and additional input once their application's put in and we can evaluate their proposal to build and develop that lot. And just thank you again for the opportunity for letting us share our concerns about, this important historic area of Concord.
You're welcome, Rich, and thank you for bringing all your observations and comments and passion about our town to this meeting. So we appreciate you being here. Is there other public comment as we draw to the close of our meeting tonight? I see a hand raised. Concord is how your label reads, so I'm not sure who you are. Could you just tell us who you are? You have to unmute yourself though. I can't hear you. There you are.
Are you referring to me?
Yeah. Yes.
Good evening. Wilhelmina van der Wansum, 597 Lowell Road.
Welcome.
I have a general comment to make. If we are going to meet virtually in the future, I would kindly request to update the audio. I have a very hard time hearing, even though I'm very close to the unit. Also, I would like to point out, as Rich Santoro did, that the size of the proposed building is not appropriate for the size of the lot. It's super awkward, it's obnoxious, and I hope that with support from others that we can minimize the impact there. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, let me just add that I believe the ACSC has a good feel for what is happening here. They have experience, I guess, with the previous construction company and owner of this plot, and now it's the next one who tries. And it is, I think, a good feel for this corner, that it is a historic corner, that we should preserve it as much as we can. And that doesn't mean that we have to stop any development, but we have to look at it from a point of view that we want to maintain specifically this corner in the way it was for many, many decades and centuries, actually. And therefore, we need to do whatever we can to preserve it and see that if we build anything at all, that it is in coordination with what is already existing there, and it should not overwhelm what we're doing or in a style which does not fit. So I hope that the the commission will have that insight, and I'm sure you do, and stop any development which is inappropriate, and make sure that whatever is built there, if you build at all, that it is the right size and the right type of building. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for your comments.
Yep.
Any other public comment? I realize we're running a little late. Patrick, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Patrick McQuinney, and I'm also at that corner at 25 Barnes Hill Road. And as you know, having been before the commission many times, we and other neighbors are investing heavily in trying to preserve it as best we can historically. One of the things that the architect, Elise, mentioned that I was surprised by was that this deal had already occurred. The information that I had, which may be inaccurate, is that a deal had been struck only contingent upon HDC approval. In other words, my understanding, which may not be accurate, but my understanding was that they are very aware of the strong opposition from all the contiguous neighbors and many others. And the buyer isn't interested in committing fully unless or until he knows that the HDC will approve it. So I have been assuming that this is a deal that is not actually a done deal at all. And I've been wondering over the last few weeks how it's in any way in the historic interest of our town, let alone that corner, for anything to be built on that land. It doesn't seem to me as though there's a financial imperative for something to be built there. This is a builder who's trying to make a profit by building something and selling it for a profit. And there are many other lots around the state and around town where that could be done. So I'm struggling with how it would be in the historic interest of the town for anything to be built there when for so long nothing was there, particularly given that the neighbors have made a proposal to buy this land and preserve it undeveloped indefinitely, which we are hoping will be the case. So I'm very much in support of what my fellow neighbors have said, but I just wanted to add that my 2 cents that I don't think this is a done deal, and I think this could be stopped before it goes further if the commission deemed that that would be appropriate.
Got you. Thank you, Patrick. Other public comment. I don't want to leave anybody out by accident. Are there other raised hands? No. Okay. All right. Well, since we're not allowed to really have a discussion, I just really do want to thank you all for your input. I very much appreciate your attention. As I said, your passion for the town and your confidence in us to do the right thing is what I would say. So I think that about does it for our meeting this evening, unless there's something I'm missing. Heather, is there any other last minute? No? Okay. All right. Well, listen, folks, it's been a bit of a long night, but we ended before 9 o'clock. So that's better than in the in-person life when we usually went till 10. So I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
And I'll go all in favor, just raise your hand. I'm looking at a total unanimous motion to adjourn. All right, well, listen, again, thank you all. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Heather, and thank you folks from the public for attending. And Linda, thank you. I forgot to mention our select board liaison is here. Linda, thank you for attending.
You're welcome.
All right, folks, have a good night and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.